Hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrilling episode of Forsaken. As always, I am your benevolent and never have done anything wrong in their life gods, and with me we have a dastardly villain. So, with that, please, godkiller, introduce yourself to the lovely audience.
Wild of you to call me a dastardly villain. Hello, everybody. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns. And today I will be playing Omera, who uses they, Ray pronouns, the supposedly dastardly villain, though I think today we will see that that is far from the truth. And in fact, you will see that the real villain was Chris all along. Over to you.
Lies, deception in the chat. But with that in mind, I am Chris. I will be your humble guide for these preceding evenings. Before we start, quick reminders for you. First and foremost, if you didn't catch the content warnings for this lovely series we have, I'm about to go through it again for you. If you type in the chat !CW, the content warnings for this series and this episode in particular include fantasy violence, gore, blood, familial struggles, drug abuse, severe weather, references and romance and references to sexual entanglements, monsters and monstrosities, depictions of experimentation, references to epidemics and diseases, trauma, imperialism, classism, depictions of war, and imprisonment. If none of this floats your boat, there is a plethora of wonderful content out there for you to enjoy. Also, if you want to follow me or the lovely godkill that we have with us here, you can type !cast and you can get links to the bad boys where you can find us all over the internet. With that in mind, godkiller, are we ready to proceed in your woeful tale?
If we could rewind and then heal some of my wounds, that would be great.
We're not doing that as we go forward. As we find ourselves moments after the battle. Omera, you are currently 4 strain, so in terms of how you're feeling, you are once again feeling very wounded. You see that you were hit by an artillery shell and pieces of that shrapnel have embedded itself in various sections of your body. You're still enough to barely be able to move as you're sort of slumping from tree stump to tree stump as the blood kind of drips behind you, leaving a trail in a sense. As you are going from this battlefield, trying to get back to the rebels, what is going through your mind at the moment?
The revelation that Armont gave to me, that my people have been taken to a different land, one that is difficult to get to. That is a lot for me to take in at this moment. And on top of that, what Daro said about Titus, that can't possibly be true, right? I mean, Titus has been one of my closest friends for a long time, and there is no... It can't be true. It can't be true. And I think it is that sort of sentence replaying over and over in Omera's head that it can't be true, and that is what propels Omera, despite rare grievous injuries and the blood pouring out of Rare body. That can't be true. That can't be true is all that is pushing Omera's body forward as they go and try to return to where the broader camp is, where all of the other rebels are.
I think as it's going through your mind, it can't be true. It can't be true. You find yourself walking on the battlefield as there are several fires from the artillery pieces that hit into the mud, the metal husk that were the Hellraiser divisions surround you. Monsters that Daros' men were using are there. But also you see the bodies of Mali citizens around you, and as you're thinking, it is not true, it can't possibly be true, you can't help but wonder if it is all of this death is because of him. It becomes such an overwhelming thought that you lose your footing, and soon you fall to the ground. But before you hit it, it's not hitting the mud of a solid ground piece, but rather if almost you were hitting water as you feel yourself back in that lake again. All that time ago. As you feel the warmth of that water around your wounds. And as the camera kind of pans out very slowly, you slowly descend to that midpoint line where darkness and light touch. That in-between. You begin to fade. And as you close your eyes in almost a sleepy-like manner, your vision awakens, almost like if you were dozing off. You immediately, come back. As you awaken, you are younger, Omera. You look around you as you are kind of in a lecture hall, very much of like that circular nature kind, in terms of like it descends downwards, with a large chalkboard down below. As you find yourself reliving a memory of your golden years, of your years at the Helix Academy, where the Emperor's brightest studied under the tutelage of the Archon of Storms of Entropy, Isabella. You are in a grand lecture hall at the moment, and with it, you see your mentor. They have been almost like a second mother to you, or a second sort of parental figure, as they have taught you the best way they can, with also being kind. Even though you may not be their best student, and this place has its flaws, this does feel like a second home to you. As you are kind of waking up, you see that the lecture you kind of clocked out of deals a lot with entropedic magic, as you see Isabella's giving a bit of a lesson about what exactly runs the Empire. And to be very brief about it, you see that entropathic magic here revolves around tenacores, or tenatech. This is something that is the beating heart of most of the Empire's machines. This is kind of the core, which you, in the back of your mind, as you're kind of living this memory, but also still knowing what you've been through and who you are, it's that same sort of schematics going through. And as you're trying to pay attention, you see that you are awakened due to your friend, your college friend in this instance, or university friend, Ophelia, the Emperor's child. As they sort of bump you on the side and go, "Darling, you should wake up."
Oh, sorry. What?
You dozed off again.
I dozed. And Omera looks around at the room and is... sorry. I just stayed up late again doing work. There's so much work to be done. Sorry, what did I miss? What did Isabella
We're going
say?
over. Yeah, don't worry, Isabella already noticed. You're already on the shit list. You must get your sleep. If you want to be as beautiful as me, you should invest in it. It is something that is, as the scientific community says, a pro.
I don't think that I or anybody really could be as beautiful as you, Ophelia, so not really even worth trying, don't you think?
For the audience, as I almost forgot to describe the beautiful, handsome Ophelia. Ophelia is beautiful dark skin. Their hair is green, which sort of short on the top but twirls going down almost like a river of green of their hair. And they wear what looks like to be kind of the university uniform, which is kind of the black, gold, and green, but with their own little flair about it, as they have this sort of puffy, sort of translucent black and gold kind of dress over it to make them stand out a little bit beyond their peers. And as we go back to him, simply goes, "Well, I hope you're not too tired for tonight. I did want to ask if you do intend to head over to Winslow's so we can talk shop about setting the birthday party up for one of the students in the dorms, particularly the cute one."
Yes, of course, of course. No, not too tired. I will be there. And, remind me again, am I supposed to bring something or prepare something?
Well, your intimate knowledge of flora should liven the place up. I'm looking to you for decor, so I hope you can put your best foot forward, my friend. But do not
Right.
worry if you cannot.
No, that's easy enough. And I suppose you're looking to speak the language of flowers?
Please, anything to protest that handsome hunk of a man.
And above table, do I know, like, who is Ophelia talking about in this instance?
You see, they're just talking about one of the students. You see, he is one of the sort of engineering studies, so talking about like forging and sort of mechanics, which have led to a physique that is rather chiseled due to the amount of hammering one must do. So it is more of a physical attraction than anything deep or emotional. Ophelia is not known for deep and emotional.
Gotcha. And I think Omera just kind of like chuckles a little bit, says, "Don't worry, I will make sure that the flowers say exactly what it is that you're feeling."
And you see they hold their hand. That's why you're the best, bestie.
And I think at that, Omera kind of like turns to where Isabella is probably still lecturing about entropathic magic and stuff, and is gonna try their best to like tune in and like catch like mid lecture, like what the hell are we talking about here?
Roll a 2d6 for me, please. Let's see if you, let's play a little game here. Standard
Oh,
6 below, fail. What'd you get?
I got a 10.
What'd you get? Got a 10? Believe it or not, even though you're on the back foot here, you catch up right quick. You did stay up late, so you studied. So it's very much in that sense of if you go to a lecture, you should read beforehand, which most people don't because they're lazy. You, on the other hand, like, especially you having the scholarship and everything of having to be the best person that you can be here. You read before, you know exactly what they're talking about, where other students are struggling. You see one kid's in the back stressed, like, oh, just doesn't know what he's gonna do as you're kind of about mid-semester here. But for the most part, the lecture continues on, and at a point, it does begin to end as everyone begins to pack up and put their things away. Your mentor, Isabella, as we see them, they are slightly different. You see that they never touch the ground. You see that they are almost floating in a constant state as you see electricity begin to act almost like stealth in a sense, in terms of that is what's propelling them upward. As you see, they have brilliant purple skin that's translucent and vibrant with lightning and entropy going throughout it like a constant state of experimentation. Their eyes are a brilliant purple as their horns begin to almost like ram-like in nature, purple as well, with their shortcut hair and white sort of dress in a sense to make them stand out. Even though they are teaching, they are actually the headmaster, which means they run the entirety of the academy. They teach because they like to teach, but their main job really is to run the school. But as everyone is packing up, you see Isabella looks over to you. Omera, if you would be so kind to stay over after class, I have to discuss some things with you.
Yes, of course. And
You see Ophelia kind of go, good luck, and just pack up, go away.
I'll still be there, okay? So don't start without me.
All right, darling.
And Omera, I think, like, packs up their things, just kind of steadies themselves and says, okay, like, takes a moment to themselves to be like, you're not gonna lose your scholarship, okay? You're not. Yakin would be so pissed. Okay. And is going to, like, sling their bag over their shoulder and head down the stairs to where the podium is, where Isabella likely is waiting. Yes, Isabella.
You see that they are very much wincing their hand as you see the electricity comes off of it, begins to clear stuff up, very much like they're multitasking in this instance. With that, Omera, you dozed off again.
I did. However, I can assure you that I did do all of the readings before lecture today, and so I am caught up, and if you were to ask, I think I would be able to answer questions about today's lecture.
I'm curious, where did you doze off to? Why were we dreaming of this time?
I don't I don't really think you would believe it if I told you. Strange nightmares.
Genius is often making complex ideas simple, not making simple ideas complex. Please, let me know what is going on. I am not only your mentor, but I do care for your progress. You are one of the very few students from Mali. As they sort of gesture to a seat.
And Omera sits down in the seat that Isabella is referring to. I mean, the nightmare is inconsequential, I think. Just an odd... a battlefield of some kind, and the Empire engaging in bloodshed. It's all just neurons firing, right? No, I think I just haven't been sleeping enough lately. The work, well, it's a lot. It's proving to be, I guess, more than I had anticipated, and given that, well, the level of effort that I need to put in order to be up to the caliber required at the academy, it's just, I guess, something to adjust to.
I mean, we can always lighten your coursework. You are taking a little bit of the, how we say, a cap of what we usually allow our students to do. I know you're very enthusiastic, and I love that nature, but if it is too much, there is no shame in reducing the burden of your coursework.
I suppose we could consider that. I mostly just worry about the scholarship and whether that would be affected by that at all.
I understand. You come from a place where opportunities like this don't come very often. I'm one of the reasons why I invented the program.
Yeah.
And you see they kind of get close. Changing from mentor to more motherly in the sense of, you need to remember to take care of yourself. There is no point of studying all the sciences if one tends to be under the consequences of not following science. And the body tells you when you need to rest.
I know, man, I think just kind of like slumps down in the chair that Ray is sitting in. You're right. You are right. And I can endeavor to do better by that. But I think once the the showcase is over, I'll probably have a little bit more time to rest and to catch up on the sleep that I've been missing, but until then, preparations for the showcase take precedence.
I understand. You see, they get up and begin to sort of prepare themselves to leave. They're getting their Tesla coil ready, as you notice that they use this as the transportation system to go quickly from place to place. As you see they prep it up, I'm very curious. What are you preparing this year for your presentation? You do know that in this year you will have to pick a track in a sense, what your advanced application will be. Depending on what you showcase, will determine your specialty in a sense.
Actually, I was hoping to, I was hoping that my work with you could be extended for the showcase. I have a novel idea that I've been working on that I think could really, really change the trajectory of all of the Empire's healing capacities. And at the crux of it all is entropathic magic. And so if you're going to be at the showcase, I actually think that it might be something of interest to you.
I am always happy to see my students use our work to better the Empire. You should prepare your thesis for it, hypotheses and all, and we should review it together to see if it is not in a sense worthy, but something that we can present in a safe manner. That is the utmost importance of the day.
Of course.
You see, they prepare. Oh, one last thing. Do you mind doing me a favor?
What's that?
Well, I do have a meeting to go to at the moment, but there is a student coming by train, another pupil that is coming to join us, and believe it or not, from your same place of birth, Mali.
Oh.
They are part of the scholarship program, but I have a meeting that I have to get to. Do you mind picking them up and bringing them back?
Of course not. Who is this new student?
You see, they kind of look through their papers real quick. If I am not mistaken, Titus Lovell.
Got it. Yeah. I will make sure that Titus feels right at home here.
I put my trust in you. You should head off. The train is coming soon.
Right. I'll be there. And is there anywhere in particular that you want me to bring Titus?
You could show him around a little bit if you want to take a little bit of a scenic route, but try to get him back here for sure. This is where his lodgings and everything will go through. I have to go to orientation, which is not my favorite, but it is a necessary part of the education process.
Of course. Then I will be right back with our newest recruit.
Fantastic. Have a good day, Omera. As you see, they prepare to leave.
And Omera as well will prepare to leave, not in as dramatic of a fashion, but just good old walking out the door to head to the train station.
Is very much like you see their energy begin to, and they almost like if they were being absorbed into the Tesla coil, and they begin to shoot into various parts. While you just open the door and just walk out.
Man, I can't believe I never learned that.
I know, it's just what a shame. With that, you proceed to head out, and as the doors open, a bright light goes over the camera for a hot second as we find ourselves in the bustling city of the future, Lys. Deep in the nation of Nakarada, a nation that is very much ahead of the curve, something where the heart of the Empire's innovation is going on. But Lys is a special place in particular, as it is known as the Floating City. It rises off the ground after a whole confrontation a long time ago in which the city needed to rise in order to survive. And it did. From there, innovations from guilds had, but guilds are just another way of oppression. And Isabella, earning their name the Usurper, dismayed these guilds, and before you is a utopia. As you walk about, you see that the streets themselves is cobblestone, but there's sort of various railings with these sort of shipping containers going back and forth. Buildings here are a little bit more of that sort of Art Deco modern sense versus anything back home, which is a little bit more medieval, feudal in nature. You see mechanical wonders, from mechanical horses to machines running solely on Tenetech going through the streets itself, and of course airships sailing on the wind with Tenetech. Tenetech is everywhere, as it is the reason why the Empire has been able to thrive, as it breathes life into these works of art. The machines themselves do serve a purpose, but they are also an extension of whoever made them, from beautiful drawings onto them, some complex and some simple. But either way, this is a place of innovation. And as you're walking to the train, what is going through our lovely Omera's mind as they once again wander this place that it is almost like they have forgotten the beauty of it?
Before I answer that question, I just have a question for you. Just above table, remind me again where Tenatech comes from. Like,
Tenetech comes from an inventor known as Tawana Tennyson. They were the individual that worked with the Archon to free the city from the guilds. They together worked on a Tenacore, which is sort of this magic and mechanics together. Primarily, it's powered by this thing called Magi Crystal, which is pretty much magic in a sort of solidified form. And through refinement and through various processes, it acts almost like fuel for these stuff.
are these the same cores that I've been like using to power like the golem back in the bay?
They're
And
similar, yeah. They're the ones that you've encountered are a little bit infused with divine magic.
I
So they're
see.
like, if a Tenacore is like very like a turbo kind of, in the sense of like it got a higher tier subscription in a sense. But you could see that they're a little bit more powerful due to the fact that the magic that they have is divine in nature rather than your regular magic.
I see. Okay. So the cores that I've been
And if,
encountering are like a less powerful version of these.
more powerful. The
Oh,
ones that
more
you're
powerful.
seeing here
Oh,
are less. Yes,
okay. I
yes.
see.
If anything, you're making the connection in your mind that maybe they copied the template of it and tried to replicate it in that
I
sense. So if
see.
anything, these are like replications of something that they can't necessarily make because it requires divine energy,
Yeah.
and that's a process that you know is painful.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Um, I think then, just keeping all of that in mind. Omera is walking down like Liss and towards the train station where I am to pick up Titus, and they have been here for a little bit now in the academy. Not a super long time, but long enough that they have gotten a little bit used to the city. At first, it was such a jarring change for Omera to come here where there isn't as readily available access to forests and streams and I mean, Mali is quite literally built on water. The buildings they float on water, and it's such a change to be here where we float, but we float in the air, and there is not that same sort of access to different parts of nature that Omera is used to, and the advanced technology and everything. It was just so much to get used to, and I think all of that kind of like reels in Omera's head as they look around at the wonders of the mechanical horses and the beautiful buildings, and they are running through their head all of the things that Ray found perhaps a little bit jarring at first and difficult. Because if Titus is coming from Mali, then certainly Titus will feel similarly. And so Amanda's kind of thinking of like, okay, like what was useful for me, and sort of getting used to all of this stuff, and like maybe I can help Titus with that. And I think it's this very unburdened like lightness to Omera as they walk from the academy to the train station. Honestly a lightness and an unburdened sense of ease that Omera has not really had the privilege of feeling very much since leaving the academy.
It is, and especially when you speak of it being a modern, more place, there are a few pockets that you try to find refuge in because it's there's only so few parts of this place which is just pure nature and dirt. But as you go, you find yourself heading into the train station, which again, every part of the city, even the most mundane buildings, art is built into it. It is a big part of the culture here that you make something functional but beautiful. As you see going into this station, the mural up top painted of depicting the various battles of the Archons, from their conquest to their civil wars to all that stuff in between. But as you go through, looking over the times, you can see that the train coming in from Ali, you get to the station, and as you do, you catch it just in the nick of time. As you see the train pulling in here is an electrical one. As you see, it rides on this sort of technology, which is like hard light rails. It's a hard light construct, very blue, translucent, as it forms the rails as it pulls in. As sort of the smoke comes in very much for a moment as it's kind of pulling in. And as you look for this individual, you can see there's a variety of people coming off of it, from businessmen and traders from home, family members that are reuniting and rekindling with their folks. You see soldiers with their bags, duffel bags on their shoulders, coming off to maybe go off to training or maybe to have some R&R. And so much coming out of this train. Soon, you see it. You see Titus, but a younger and more timid version of this individual. So much so that Omera at a first glance would be like, this guy? Shorter than you, obviously, and you see they are carrying nothing but the clothes on their back and a duffel bag with some papers in it. Less than what you brought yourself. And you can see that they have sort of these sort of antler-like horns on their head, green skin, glasses that they keep trying to fix as it's sort of taped in the middle with tape. Not necessarily cosmetically, but you can see that the glasses have been very much over and over and over again as they wear what looks like to be kind of more like blue, not a sense of peasant, a little lower class kind of clothes, very much like blue shirt and sort of shorts as they're going to come off. And with that, you see they're kind of lost in this moment, trying to look for somebody to lead them away.
Is it clear to me that this is the person that I'm looking for? Because I realized that Isabella never gave me a description of Titus, so I don't actually even know really who I'm looking for.
You know he has the seal of the Academy in his hand. You see that he has something. Very few people have the seal.
Okay.
If they were going to the academy, but you know from your own experience of like, oh, I had this bad boy and that means I was a student. So you can see he's carrying very much like a seal in his hand of like, yeah, I'm trying to head to here because I'm yada yada yada.
Seeing the seal in Titus's hand, Omera is going to walk up to him and say, hi, Titus?
You see very much startled for a moment. Oh, Titus. And extends a hand.
Omera will shake Titus's hand. I'm Omera. I'm one of the students over at the Helix Academy, and I heard that it's your first day today. So I'm here to take you over there.
Yeah, wonderful. Are you from the academy? I don't want to sound like an ass, but are you from it?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm a student over there. Isabella, I suppose the headmaster, is my mentor at the academy.
Fantastic. Lead the way. I'm excited to start here.
All right. And I think Omera is going to like turn and like gesture for Titus to follow. And as we're walking, Omera is going to like talk to Titus. I'm just gonna say like, it's really exciting to have you here as part of the academy. I mean, I know that we just met and all, but I heard that you're from Mali, and well, I am too. We don't really have a lot of people from back home here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of everywhere. My family actually originally is from here. They were from Squalor's Row until they were, displaced after the Imperial Wars, and they sort of lived in Mali. So it's kind of weird because like I was born in Mali, but my family was from here, so it's very much from two worlds. But this place is wonderful. It's nothing like Mali. Especially when you're young enough, you can't really gamble. It's kind of a snooze over there. So excited to get out.
That's very fair. It's definitely a not for everyone, I suppose.
Um,
What do you
do you work with?
sorry,
Sorry.
what were you gonna ask?
You go first.
Okay. I was just gonna ask, what is it that you are hoping to study at the academy?
I don't know. I mean, I have a fondness for engineering. A bit of entropathic magic is another thing. I have ideas of my own. You see, pulls out kind of like a scruff-looking notebook. A number of inventions from military to civilian applications. A lot of ideas in my mind. Maybe too many ideas, but a lot I really am excited to work on.
When Titus pulls out their like book that has like all of their like ideas and stuff like kind of like sketched in there and whatnot, like Omera kind of like as we're walking like looks over, as Titus I assume is like kind of like flipping through some pages. It's like, whoa, that looks like some really cool stuff. And you were coming up with all of that like just on your own? Did
I'm a bit of a dreamer. I make all these things. I can almost, if I can feel and see them, like this one, a Hellraiser, kind of like a sort of a tank that is able to not only move forward but also has a little bit of fire magic, so able to scare the enemy away. And this one for healing. The tentacles itself are used for energy, but if given certain runes on them, I think we can make them for more health applications to do rapid healing. And then there's the crops and all that, and then there's a real big one, but I'm saving that because that one's still in development in a sense. So yeah, a lot of ideas, but not money or the resources to act upon them, which is frustrating.
Well, I mean, if that's your kind of big hurdle, you're in the right place. The Academy, I'm sure, will be thrilled by all of your ideas, especially if you're using entropathic magic. Isabella's going to be all over that, so I'm sure that you'll have support of the faculty in order to build your inventions. That'll be good for the Empire, too, so.
Excited. Do you mind if I ask a question?
Go for it.
What is Isabella like? I've only heard stories of, the thunder goddess that came down and destroyed the guilds with a hand, but surely that's not, all there is to the stories.
No, I mean, all of that is true, of course. Isabella is a, well, can be a hard ass. I won't really mince words about it. Being his student is not easy work. But, I mean, Isabella's also genuinely really kind and supportive of their students, and they want to see us succeed, which I think is where that sternness comes from, Like, she is a hard ass because she cares, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm really excited to go through all this. And as you two are kind of talking, you make your way into one of the nearby alleyways. And as you're doing, you see coming out of one of the nearby shops is an individual that is less than savory. You see Conrad Kipping, also known as the local asshat. This individual has bright blue skin, dark brown hair, red eyes, and just a sense of arrogance about them. You know that Conrad comes from old money. He's very much that sort of rich type. And as coming out with his entourage, you see eating an apple, looks over and goes, well, if it isn't the dirt merchant.
Oh, I'm sorry, Conrad. Did somebody ask for you? Shouldn't you be back at the academy working on, I don't know, how to turn your gold coins into bigger gold coins or something?
If only you could. I just heard the news as they sort of brush the apple off. Someone's been lacking in class. I'm not surprised. I guess you're doing this walkabout as some extra credit or something.
You and I both know that the Helix Academy doesn't give extra credit for walking people anywhere.
Then if it's not for a grade, why are you helping out this twerp? Hmm? Out of the kindness of your own heart?
Do you have that? A heart?
Anatomically, yes, I do have a heart.
Could have fooled me. Anyway, Conrad, if you don't actually want anything, then if you don't mind getting out of the way, I do have to bring our new student, by the way, to Isabella.
Very well. You, new kid, I must say, to be very frank with you, you are gutter trash. And I give it a month before you flunk out. But I'm very excited to see if you last longer. We're already collecting a pool to see how long you'll last. I say a month, so keep up the good work. You see Titus go, okay. Very much distressed. Bye-bye, dirt merchant. Have fun with your whatever it is, as they walk off with their crew.
Oh, as we're kind of like walking, like finishing our route to class, Omera's just gonna like shake their head and roll their eyes and say, "I'm really sorry about that." That is Conrad, Conrad Kipping. And he is, I'm sure, as you can guess, very affluent and thinks that that is the only trait that matters.
Affluent's a word I wouldn't use. There's a different one I'm thinking in my head right now.
I mean, I'm sure whatever word you're thinking of is accurate. Best to stay clear of him, honestly. He pretends like he cares about what the Academy is teaching, but it's so very clear to me that he's just here for the prestige of it all, you know, being a Helix Academy student. I don't think that Kipping actually cares about any magical innovations or helping the Empire or any of it.
Well, I'm glad I got you instead of him. And you see, you kind of get to the step of the dorm room. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you, Omera. Hopefully we get to see each other again soon.
Yeah, and if you need anything, I know that moving here from Mali can be kind of a big change, and so if you need anything, or if you want to, figure out some entropathic magic experiments together, I'm actually working on some stuff that uses it as well, so feel free to give me a shout.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. And you see he proceeds to go up, but as he does, you begin to hear something echo in the back of your mind. Omera, wake up, as you hear Dawn's voice.
And Omera like turns around, trying to see if there's the source of the voices behind them.
You begin to turn. And as you do, the memory fades away almost like ink in water. And soon you find yourself being almost ejected out of the water as you find yourself laying on a table. Light is sort of very much like candlelight is around you. You feel the pain again in your chest. You don't know how the hell you made it, but you are in the infirmary. But the thing is, that was a long walk and you were nowhere near. So in the back of your mind, that is going on. But as you're slowly kind of here, unconscious, you can see that people are arguing above you. Primarily, you see Aiden and Azul are arguing amongst each other as they are like, we need to get them. You see Azul's very much like, we need to get them to someone with a little bit of experience, as you have very piss poor sanitary conditions here. And you see Aiden go, I'm sorry that it's not up to your standards, but they're dying, so I don't think this is going to be the best thing, and you see that kind of going back and forth. And very much the argument you're getting here is just like, we don't know what we're doing, and you're going to do it in this dirty place kind of deal as you're slowly awakening up here.
Do I have any understanding of the kinds of like injury that I've taken or like been inflicted with?
Yes, you know that from what you're feeling, it's not in the sense of it hasn't punctured anywhere. You do notice there is a few of these things that have punctured blood vessels, but luckily they have like lodged themselves in between it so that, it's not bleeding you out. But if anybody's doing surgery, they have to be very careful in certain regions of your body, because
Okay.
pulling it out without any blood could mean your end.
Okay. I have a question for you, GM, that may be pushing it a bit, but I'm gonna ask you anyway.
We love to do that here, so go ahead.
So Fate's shawl that I have, right, is I can't use it for myself. However, Aiden is not me and has the capacity, very, very limited in comparison to me, to wield divine magic, right? Would it be feasible to allow Aiden very temporary ability to wield the shawl in order to prevent me from like bleeding out and dying while Azul like does the surgery? Basically like stabilize me while this like surgery is happening?
Believe it or not, I feel like tempting fate would be the right
Haha, funny, yes.
With that in mind, a couple things to add here. A skilled ally is lending a hand. They are skilled. You got Azul and Aiden. Their two heads are enough to do the job. You have no other options. I don't think you really do, so it's another +1. And you're far from any god that wishes you harm. That is also a true statement.
Oh, word.
No god
Amazing.
is around you, so
What?
+3 for this bad boy. Let's see what you get. Oh boy. You muted. Yes, you're muted here. Oh. There you go. There you go. You're back. There we go.
I said I got a 13.
A 13. So overkill. You triumph over this specific ordeal, but it attracts the attentions of the enemies, and they react immediately.
I thought we killed the enemy. There's no one around.
Kill the enemy? And nobody wants to harm you, don't mean they're not an enemy. You pull out your shawl. What do you say to these two as they're arguing, not paying attention to you? Just like, you know what? Why don't you take your pretty little armor and you get out of here? You're like, you know, you have a rude mouth, good sir. All right, you need a.
I don't think Omera has the capacity to, like, the physical ability to say very much or to say it very forcefully. So I think Omera, like, manages, as I am bleeding out and dying on this table that they've put me on, manages to get out, like, a few words very, like, shakily. And it is something along the lines of, Aiden, my fate, stabilize it. And that is like the extent to which I get anything out.
Yeah, you see, he tries to cusp your head and just like, Omera, before you find yourself back.
Hope that was enough instruction. Good luck.
And like peace. Sorry. With that in mind, you find yourself assumed very much trying to react, but as you pull back in, you find yourself still floating in the water, but someone has joined you at this moment. As you see floating next to you is Tava, the Mindbreaker, the individual who gave you this shawl. You see they're floating about. a slightly bigger version, very much looking down at you, and goes, This disc, godkiller. You should not be giving my gifts to people I did not designate it for. While you cannot see your own fate with my soul, others can see theirs if they are proficient enough. Not part of our deal.
Just above table, is this happening in the past or in the present?
You would assume the present and that they're in your mind in a sense.
I see. And in this sort of mental space that Tava is communicating with me in, am I like fully in control and like able to communicate back, or is it a one-way
You can
situation?
communicate back and forth, so it's just looks like they're very bigger. I mean, they're called the Mind Breaker for a reason, so you do understand they probably have some proficiency in this instance, but you can't communicate back and forth with them.
Okay. In that case, as I hear Tava's voice flood my mind, and she basically yoinks me out of this scene, I say, I'm sorry, Mindbreaker, but it is the only way that I can think of to ensure that my fate doesn't end here, right now, in this moment, today. And while you may not agree with me, I think it important to the fate of the Empire and to the fate of many people that I not die today.
You're correct in many instances, but you're mistaken in one thing. Your fate is not in the hands of some poor peasant from some country that has forgotten who he is. No, your fate, and you see they get close, is within my hands. As you see, they have your string.
Why separate it from the rest of them?
Because your string is curious. It used to be very much longer, but it has shortened. As if destiny was fucked with in a sense.
Are you not the one that controls destiny? Would that not be your doing?
I do not control anything. To control destiny is the fool's errand. I am simply a purveyor, an instrument of their will.
Well, what does that mean exactly? You make things happen that have been preordained? What if you refused?
I have learned what happens when you've refused. You do not know it, but a long time ago someone tried to defy fate's orders, and it was a very bloody aftermath.
What happened?
It is a story for another time. Let's just say a ruling house that was once among the Archons no longer exists.
Do you mean... Oh my god, I'm forgetting their names. What was Aiden's family's name?
Not the Colwell. The Coldwells.
Okay. This wouldn't happen to be the Coldwells, would it?
They were one of the many, but not the main perpetrators.
Well, whatever it may be, if you are in control of my fate, then I implore you, Archon of Fate, don't let it end here. Not right now, not today. Whatever shortened lifespan that destiny has ascribed to me, let it be so. Let it be even shorter than that if it must, but let it not be today.
Well, it is all determining on one thing. I want to see your story. I have looked to your mind, and there is a memory in here that you have suppressed deep into your psyche, something you yourself have forgotten about. I would like to unearth it together, if you'd be so kind.
What are you talking about?
From what I can gather, it is known in your mind as the incident. But you have tried so very hard to forget it. I only catch glimpses with my mind.
And if we explore the incident together, you will let me live. You will ensure that I live.
I will let you live from the surgery. From beyond that, it is on a determined basis.
Yes, okay.
Lovely. You're doing what you're told. So in this instance, what vulnerability do you reveal?
I think there are a couple things. Firstly, it is the fact that Omera sees for himself as part of this, as part of the fate of the Empire at this point. That Omera has started to accept that they have a role to play in whatever machinations are going on in the Empire, whether that's through the rebellion or whether that's through the Empire itself. Omera is, I think, like, starting to accept and recognize that Rey is not just some like random citizen anymore, that they are important in all of this, and starting to actually lean into that and to make decisions that influence the Empire's fate. The second thing, which I think is quite interesting, given that Omera's positioning themselves as trying to ascend to godhood, trying to be the Archon of Death. I think given that, it's very interesting that here in this moment, Omera reveals, I think, a fear of dying. Or an unwillingness to die at the very least. That they themselves don't want to die. And I just think that that is very curious coming from somebody who is trying to be the god of death.
Curious indeed, and you shall be rewarded later. Can't give out all the goodies at once. But as you proceed to go, another memory begins to play as they wish their hands almost like that if they were pulling the sky itself. Some months have passed, and you begin to feel the rain touch on your cheeks. A couple months have passed since Titus has arrived, and the two of you have become close friends, as you seem to have more in common with each other than you first realized. At the moment, Omera, you are waiting outside one of the more unique shops of Lys, as it is nothing more really than a hoarder's paradise. It's full with various bits and baubles for sale. For anyone to take interest in it, it makes no sense. There's no scientific relevancy to this place. But Titus is here, and you guys did make this quick stop before you headed over to the tavern where everyone is. Winslow's. With that, you're thinking to yourself, waiting out in the rain, trying to find shade. On top of everything that's going on here, you waiting, it's a bit of concern for you, as semester is coming up to that point in which you have to really solidify an idea for unification day. And while you have ideas, you're very much in that sort of dilemma, kind of picker's dilemma, or sort of the choice dilemma here of like, which one should you do? Because it's very much about giving your best foot forward. So what's going in your mind as you're waiting for Titus at the moment outside of the shop?
Omera is feeling a combination of like excitement and nervousness at the same time, because this is something that they have been working towards for a very long time, like all year basically. This unification day, this big project, this chance to show the Empire, the Archons, the work that you've been doing and how it will benefit everybody in the Empire. And so there's a lot of pressure to bring something good, to make it worth their while, but also it's a unparalleled opportunity. And so Omera's ready, but also extremely, extremely nervous that what they're going to bring is going to be absolutely terrible, and the Archons are going to hate it, and then they're going to get expelled. It's not good.
You're just living your brain. You're like, oh man, if I fail, you're just like explosion, boom, cast out, just tossed off the stone. Very much in your
Thrown
brain,
off
but
of the
as
floating city, just like out the
I
window.
cast you out, yeah, just ragdoll Gmod out the window. But as you're thinking about that, you soon snap out of it. As you see Titus coming out with two objects, both of them wrapped in newspaper. As he kind of comes out, you see he's very much in clothes of the academy now, no longer wearing his sort of, uh, Mali clothes, denoting his status. Seems like one of you. Hair cut short, proper, very clean in this instance, and you see kind of coming out. Sorry. I had to haggle a bit with the dude inside. He was trying to screw me over out of my money, and I was not going to let him do that.
That's okay. Did you get what you needed?
Yeah, I think we can head over to the Winslows now.
Okay.
I don't want to miss the community function.
Yeah, right. What is it that you got anyway?
Well, and you see he begins walking. One's a surprise and one's for my project.
Okay, well, won't ask about the surprise, but what did you get for your project?
Well, if it's for Unification Day, I'm gonna go and pull out all the stops. Let's just say I'm gonna change the way we view energy.
Ooh, okay, all right, okay. I'm excited to see what that looks like. I'm just hoping that my own idea is something that the Archons will be interested in. I mean, it's kind of ambitious, you know.
Well, what is it? What does the lovely Witch of the Woods have?
Well, as you know, it takes a lot of magic and herbs and just knowledge in general in order to heal somebody, and it takes time. The body, it has its own timeline for recovering from wounds and illnesses and the like. And well, I thought this is kind of an entropic process in a way, right? I mean, when we are wounded or ill, our bodies may have a tendency towards entropy rather than the order of our biological order is thrown all off kilter. And so my thought was, what if we could harness the power of entropathic magic to reverse the entropic process of the body, to heal it in an accelerated manner, in a way allowing the body to heal itself so that we don't even need to know what's wrong, that the magic would figure it out and would fix it. You know?
Sounds a bit like immortality.
Not immortality per se, but just think of all of the illnesses that we can't treat because we don't know what it is. Think that would no longer be a problem. Think of all of the soldiers on the battlefield who could be immediately and very quickly and carefully healed.
Interesting prospect. Maybe we can combine our projects together, but we can talk about more about that at the tavern. Come on.
Okay.
Let's go.
And Omera will follow Titus to Winslow's.
With that, you head over to Winslow's as the two of you make your way through the beautiful night city as rain is coming down and find yourself at the local 2-story tavern where all the students come to eat, drink, debate with each other. As you can see, there echoes of academics and ideas are being thrown across the place from, look at my invention, this is better than yours, and like bullshit, and or says people debating about the empire's growth, where it's gonna go, and philosophy, as you have the salon kids very much like, well, I think the economics of Mali combined with, and very much in that nature of thinking more philosophical and political in a sense. Not everybody in the academy here is dedicated to science. It's open to pretty much all aspects of life. Science, though, is really where the money's at, though. But this week in particular is special as it is the community function. It is the equivalent of, if you want to think, study hours during final week, when the library would open itself late. Students here come on to work on their projects, study for their finals, and get their plan together for Unification Day. Entering in, it is in a buzz of noise of progress as some students are finding their strides, others are freaking out, while others are disdained with their current work and are looking for inspiration at the bottom of a mug. Titus, saying hi, both of you are saying hi. You see Ophelia's in the corner as well, says hi to you before they have to go back and working with their group on their project. But with that, Titus kind of takes you by the hand and leads you upstairs, away from where most of these students are. A quieter spot. You go up to the roof and find yourself closer to the stars. As believe it or not, this tavern is also a safe place for you, as it is one of the few places within the city that has vegetation in it. As you see, a great oak tree lies on the second floor here. And with it, the two of you begin to set out on the table. Luckily, you're by yourselves, as nobody really wants to be isolated. This is a community function. It's all about, spitting out ideas, whether they be good or not. And with it, you see he kind of sets his stuff down. All right. Before we start, I guess I should give you your surprise.
I'm sorry, my surprise? What do you mean?
Well, you see, very cheekily like, getting closer. It was your birthday, and I did kind of forget.
That's okay. I mean, it's a date. People forget dates all the time. You didn't have to do something.
Friends, don't forget other friends' birthday gifts. I felt a bit sad, so I used the rest of the funds of my project to buy you something.
You're misappropriating academic funds?
I know it's a bit heretical, but for you, I think it is worth it.
Okay. What's the surprise?
You see, he goes over, pokes over, sort of like brings the sort of object that's in. It's very rectangular in shape, in newspaper, and kind of goes, open it up.
Okay, and Omera will very carefully unwrap this present.
Very uncarefully, like, I'm going to save the newspaper.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. So you very much saving the newspaper. You see dying on the inside, just like, it's newspaper. But as you open it up, you see he has bought you a book. The book itself is green in nature with gold text on the top, as it is a book of botanical flowers, with the various flowers out in the world and their properties associated with them, something that somebody can use to find a quick solution or to experiment with. A book that is, for you, have been a hard time to find.
And Omera will hold the book very gently and carefully in both of their hands and turn it over so that they can see both the front cover and the back and the spine, and looking at the sides of the pages, just really taking in the beautiful detailing of the book. And then we'll look up at Titus, wide-eyed. Where did you get this?
Well, the old man had a bit of knacks, and I found the book while I was looking for my item, and I bought it, and plus I thought it could, be you see, begins to lose the swab, go back to stuttering, just like, well, it was your birthday, and also I thought it would make a great anniversary present, as this past year wouldn't have been as great if it wasn't for you. And, Azul has come by from time to time as well to help out, and you've made me feel more comfortable with who I am, something I kind of had a hard time doing.
Thank you for this. This is very thoughtful of you, Titus. I'm really glad to know you. Genuinely, you have made being at the academy all the more pleasant and all the more worthwhile. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't showed up.
Very important question in this instance. As you're isolated, for Omera's feelings here, with the lovely lad here, are they still strictly platonic in nature? Or is something beginning to blossom in the background here? Is there a deeper feeling of a romance?
I think Omera's feelings towards Titus in this moment and before have been platonic, but a very, very like intimate platonic love between the two of them. Titus is really and truly one of Omera's closest friends, if not like the closest friend at this point. And Omera holds a very like deep intimacy with Titus that they do not share with anybody else. It is very unique to the two of them. And this is somebody that like Omera treasures a lot. So it's not romantic, but I don't think that that diminishes the feelings that Omera has for Titus.
Mm-hmm. I think seeing that, making sure, reading the vibes, making sure they're right, he kind of goes kind of speechless in a sense of just, well, happy birthday, my friend.
And Omera will kind of like leaning over this table. I don't know how big it is, but I don't care how big it is. Oh, leaning over the table.
Dining room table like 10 feet
long. Crawling on it if I must.
Yeah.
Omera puts the book down in front of them and will give Titus just like the biggest, tightest hug possible.
And I think in this moment, Omera, you're kind of in between this memory and whatnot. I think that pain, the words being uttered to you that Titus has betrayed you, hits your heart like a dagger. As you swear that in this deep ocean, a tear begins to run down your eye. But before you're able to dwell on this, someone comes bashing through the door on the left. Conrad again, his ass hat, ruining the mood as always.
Boo.
As he is with his entourage. Boo! Boo! Tomato. But as he is walking through, smashing, and he is in an angry mood with about 3 of his entourage friends behind him. You see he goes up. Titus, you ass! You messed up chemistry class for us this morning. Failed a pretty important test, if I do say so myself. Your teacher, Titus, has to let you go, and he kind of goes, look, I'm sorry, but you're the one who messed up. I did the calculations correct. You thought you were just high and mighty enough to not follow them. You see Conrad very much, oh, you little peasant.
Okay, all right. Okay, and I think Omera just kind of like looks at Conrad and his buddies. Please, do you have to come barging in everywhere that you're unwanted? If you think...
Stay out of it,
if
dirt
you
merchant.
If you think you can do so much better, then why don't you go and talk to the professor and insist that your grade be separated from Titus's? Do the project yourself.
I will, but I require, what is the word, reparations, as they sort of push you to the side aggressively.
Reparations? For what?
You see he goes up to Titus close in his face, while the other guys just push aside you in the moment, getting closer to him. I require payment for your failures. And you see one of the boys that are next to him kind of pick up the other item that was in the newspaper. And maybe you can pay with this. You see Titus, his mood immediately shift. He goes, that's my project. Let it go now. Ooh, it looks like the little dog has some bite in him. Maybe I should take the stone for my own, make it my project. You see Titus in this instance very close to blowing. What are you doing in this instance, Omera?
Seeing that Titus is like clearly hitting some sort of limit that I don't think I've seen before in him. Omera is so importantly in this younger version of Omera, there are not as many tattoos on their body. There are fewer of them. Primarily on their arms. There aren't the ones on their neck and chest. They aren't there yet. You can't see them. And I think that is kind of a reflection of the level to which Omera's magic in this particular domain has flourished. And so there isn't as much to go off of. But I think in that moment, Omera thinks that Ray has to stop Titus before they do something dangerous and before they do something that they'll regret. And so Omera, I think, puts a hand out and like has been pushed over and I imagine like is like up against like the wall or like the side of the table at this point. And just kind of on the wall, like puts a hand up against the wall. And from it, there is this small patch of like grass that forms in a line and goes to Conrad. And there is a very, very small vine that sprouts from just where Conrad's foot is and wraps around it and like tugs to try and disrupt the scene between the two of them, hopefully enough to like disarm whatever energy is going on here.
Fantastic. If you'd be so kind for me, I'm gonna roll to wield your power in this instance. Just to see how this turns out. I will say you've done this act before. Without having to worry about strain, do you think Omera is desperate for this to work in this instance or no?
I don't think so, because Omera doesn't exactly know what's gonna happen. Like, I've never seen Titus like this, so I don't know how worried I should be.
Fantastic. I'm gonna say, and then if you're close to a shrine lair, you're not necessarily far from home. So I will say +1 for this bad boy.
I got a 5.
You got a 5. Fantastic. You pull up the sort of magic of it. You see it does get around Conroy's leg, but as you do, you see one of the guys notice it and immediately tackle you to the ground going, "What are you doing?" And in this instance, you see Titus snap. You see he grabs the object that he had in that newspaper, takes it, and immediately decks Conrad in the face. As you see a tooth go flying out with the blood, he goes down on the ground, and you see Titus go over him and immediately beat him senseless in a rage. As you see him goes, "You people think just because I come from somewhere different that you can just roll over me. Enough! You don't hurt my friends, you don't hurt my family, and you don't know dick about me, Conrad!" As you see, he beats him silly to the point that his face goes pulp before you see the other boys have to pull him off. You can see somebody from upstairs comes up and immediately lets everybody know what's going on. As you see, there's an audience around this, and as they're sort of picking up Conrad, you see he's very bloody in the face, just, "Oh my god, you're fucking crazy. I'm gonna tell the headmaster. You can tell whatever the fuck you want. You come near me or Mira again, I will shove this down your throat and make sure that you won't live to see another day."
Bro!
And as you are watching this go down, something mysterious you see that you didn't understand at the moment. You see the newspaper, slightly ripped and tethered, looks eerily similar to the shard that is in your chest.
Like what's in the newspaper?
Yes, it looks similar to the stone that's in your chest.
There's no way in this memory that I can like look at it better or anything, right?
You can look at it. You won't be able to interact with it, but
Okay.
if you want to look at it, I guess I'm trying to say here what we can do. I guess feel something out.
Okay.
I'll give you the choice here. what you want to answer.
I don't know. You want to go first and I'll go second?
Okay, I will see. What feels dark or unnerving when I peer deeper? This is a memory from a long time ago. You have been on the fence about whether or not Titus betrayed you or not. But as you see the stone, you can see that Titus lied about this stone. You know he was there to act as a liaison for Johanna. But with this stone, it signifies that he understood what was going on here. And it shows that he had some deeper plan in Staufen that you, Azul, and maybe Johanna didn't even know about. And as you see this sort of version of him that you've forgotten, you can see that maybe Titus isn't always the person of peace that you kind of knew him to be. He wasn't always a scholar. There is a darker side to him, a side that would be willing to sacrifice people for an objective.
Okay.
And
I
for
do.
you, what?
I was gonna say I have a question about that, but I'll answer mine first before asking.
Fantastic.
So what feels welcoming on the surface is that while Titus did just have this very violent outburst, it only came after being pushed. And not just pushed in a single instance, but Conrad has been pushing Titus for a long time. So it's been this sort of like chipping away at Titus's patience. And so there is that sliver of hope of maybe this kind of violent reaction can only be elicited from Titus after being backed into a corner. And maybe this isn't how Titus would behave if they were, of better control, had a little bit more logical space to think. The question that I have for you above table, Chris, is that, okay, so Titus was there, like, when we were in Staflon, right, with Johanna and Azul and them, right? Do I have any memory of, like, Titus having this, like, shard on his person, like, in Staflon? Like, do I have any memory at all of...
Not whatsoever. He was just there. He was very much, you were at the victory party. He was there. You know that he was working with Johanna to get those rebels out the ruin, but he never had that stone on him, nor did he kind of really say, he never even really said why he was there, just besides, you just thought helping Johanna. But if you're the second in command of the Empire, if you're one of the Grand Viziers, like an advisor, why are you not with the Emperor? What the hell are you doing all the way out here? Something you didn't really think about because you were very much in the moment, like, my old friend, versus like, wait a minute, what are you doing here?
And when he, like, said that he was there, did he say he was on, like, official Empire business? Like did, like, Anir know that he was here, basically, or?
That's what he said. Whether it's true or not, you don't know.
Gotcha. Okay, noted.
You don't really question the second in command. When are you gonna go to the VP? Like, no, you're not. Like, that's not something you would be doing.
Gotcha. Okay, noted.
But as that goes on, and as you think on it, you try to continue the memory, but something about that stone pulls you away rapidly. As you find yourself no longer at the tavern, but it is Unification Day. This day, it's got a lot of anxiety to it. This is the day you finally present your idea to the general public. As your mind begins to fill with this day and what went about it. But there is a bit of a problem at the back of your mind, a bit of a thought. Titus's incident at the tavern led Isabella to see that, put him on probation, as he clearly was violent against another student, and that's not something they tolerate. Yes, you can debate. Yes, you can, you can't do anything physical because violence is the opposite of scholarly. Through violence, people tend to forget everything they've learned and go to baser instincts. So he's been prohibited from showing off his project, which is equivalent of like a death sentence in a sense. I mean, if you want to be at your age, maybe that's the over dramatic you see it, but in the sense of he's not able to show his work, so he's missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. But as you're walking about the fair, which has various presentations going on with banners of the emperor flying through, you get a surprise hug from the back as you see Azul, younger in their days as well, gives you a bit of a surprise hug as you are making your way to the main auditorium as they kind of go, oh, hey there.
Oh, hey, Azul. I didn't think that you would be showing up here. Do you have something to present?
No, I'm with the Emperor at the moment. I'm acting as their aspect, so I get to follow him around.
Oh, that sounds really fascinating. Hey, what's in here like? Never actually gotten to meet him.
Anir is... It's hard to describe the God Maker in a way that doesn't make them seem larger than life. They're actually pretty down to earth. I mean... It's hard to describe. I mean, they're wise and confident, but yet they can be stern when they need to. But it's amazing. It's a real opportunity, and hopefully, if somebody wins, we can meet them together.
Oh, here's hoping. I've been working on this for such a long time, and I just really hope that it'll do some good for people. That's all I really want, because we don't have enough healers, across the empire, and I think that if this works out, using the power of entropy to heal would really lessen our need to have more healers. It would accelerate our healing processes by, I don't even know how many fold. It's hard to tell, but...
Well, I think it's a fantastic idea. I mean, I've seen 5 presentations of weapons today, and I'll tell you, it's a bore. I did see a fellow with a bit of a new idea of traveling, but to be honest, I think healing might be the thing to make you on the map.
I hope so. I just feel bad because, while I'm excited, yeah, it doesn't feel right without Titus, they had to...
How did he lose his mind?
I don't really agree with Titus's method, but I have to admit that Conrad was instigating. It wasn't just Titus's fault. Conrad was saying terrible things and has been hurting Titus for literally since the day that Titus arrived.
I mean, did you let Isabella know? Did they know that he's been kind of an ass?
How can we do anything about Conrad Kipping?
Tell you, his father's a righteous, but let's not dwell on that. I mean, if anything's got next year, maybe he needs to cool down. The last thing you want to do is make a presentation without your mind on straight.
You're right. I hope that Titus can see it that way. I know that they're devastated that they can't make it to this year's Unification Day. It's kind of a big deal,
It is. But, well, anyway, and you see you're at the doorstep. I gotta go with the Emperor's box there. They're upstairs, so, hopefully, good luck on your presentation, and, see you later.
Thanks, and let me know if you learn any, terrible secrets about the Emperor.
I'll tell you all the gruesome stuff. I just see you kind of back away.
Okay. And Omera is going to smooth out their uniform for the academy. It's going to make sure that it's clean and pristine so that Ray can make a good first impression upon the judging and panel or whatever, whoever is here to make the decision about
American Idol. Just.
And then is going to take a deep breath to ground for himself, and then we'll walk in the door towards the building.
Fantastic. With that in mind, you make your way in. As you do, it is an auditorium full of people, and going through various things. You see it's very much like Opera House, kind of beautiful, again, art designs about the place in that sense of real gravitas of presentation, and you can see the Emperor's box, though strangely in your mind, while you can see everything pitch perfectly clear, Aenear is almost like if they were smudged or kind of deleted out of the picture, as if you can't remember any true aspect of themselves. Though you remember they were there, and you think maybe you talk to them, but for this instance here, you can't see what they look like. But you find yourself, spotlight on your face, her name is called out, as you are given the floor to present. As you see Isabella's proud voice. Isabella's proud voice. This is another lovely student that I have had the pleasure of teaching all the wise things. Please, tell us, what is your presentation, student?
Omera will step into the spotlight, into the center. And if I may, in this memory, I would like to roll to recognize a god, to try and recognize Aenear, or like a little bit more, to try to remember something about him in this memory.
Fantastic. In or near the domain, I'll give you that for this instance. They're a god maker. Everything is their domain. But you're familiar with their gospel, for sure. It'd be a bad thing if you didn't know. I'll give you that as well. So you get +3 to this.
That is concerning that you gave me that last one. Okay.
Don't concern yourself with the petty matters.
All right. I got an 8.
An 8? That's a perfect hit. The GM gives you clear insight into the omen. I will allow you.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta. You know what? You gotta follow up questions. So
Yeah.
ask away. Something specific, I will say. If you want to focus on one specific thing, I will answer truthfully, with no lies whatsoever.
Man, okay, hold on.
One answer. Cross my heart and hope to die that it will be 100% the truth.
Oh, okay. What did Aenear's divine, like, magical presence feel like? Like, what did it feel like when he, like, exists and is, like, exerting, like, you know how, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
What was it? What was this? Man, what was the vibes?
Yeah, what was his vibe? Like, if I'm in a space and he's there exerting his influence over it, like, if I were to, like, think about what it felt like to be in his presence, like, so that I could recognize it again if I were ever to be in that sort of, in a space where he is exerting his, like, divine influence, basically.
Yeah, I think for you thinking about what did it feel like divine-wise, it is in the sense of asking, what does the sun feel like? What does the moon feel like? Their presence is like that of everything. You can feel pain, joy, sadness, death. You feel creation itself emanating from here. And in the instance, you see one object from that invisible spot that they were wearing. Aenear never shows their face. Only the golden mask. Delicate, beautiful, engraved. You do not know whether it be of maybe they're deformed, or maybe they're too beautiful that unmasking themselves would cause everyone in the room to fluster and forget their purpose. Whether it be to hide personally or for the betterment of others, no one knows what Aenear looks like. Even in paintings, drawings, and depictions, they are always wearing their golden mask, hiding who they are from the world.
If I may ask, like, another question, that's just a memory-based question. Have I ever felt that feeling, like that presence, again since being at the academy?
Never. You have felt the sun on your face, you have felt joy, you have felt all these things singularly, but never at once.
Okay. It's a little overwhelming, really, to be in the presence of this kind of aura, this divine magic that is everything and nothing all at once. And what does it mean to feel everything? It's intoxicating almost. You could get lost in that feeling. And Omera has to take, I think, a moment or two to steady themselves in the presence of this energy before they are able to speak, before they are able to remind themselves of why Ray is even here. And when Ray is able to steady himself, Omera says, "Hello to everyone here, and good morning. I appreciate the audience that you have bestowed upon me today, and I appreciate you being willing to hear me out as I present to you my academic work. My proposal to the Empire is not one that will improve just one area of life. No, it is one that is meant to improve all areas of life, because it is meant to improve life itself. You see, the Empire across lands is lacking in healing capacity. There are not enough healers for the amount of wounds that we see in battle, for the amount of illnesses that spread, illnesses that not all of which we even understand. And so I propose that, and looking over at Isabella as Omera says this, combining the power of entropy, entropathic magic, that we would be able to use it almost as a magical reversal of time biologically to heal the biological entropy that occurs within our bodies when we are wounded or when we are ill. This removes entirely the need for careful study of different wounds and illnesses, and it would lessen the workload of each healer so that we were better able to heal more rapidly and more people. Imagine soldiers back on the battlefield very soon after being injured. Imagine our hospitals are sick, no longer so. Our hospitals are no longer full. This is the future that I propose to the Exalted Empire, a future of life.
And with it, as you end your presentation, there was a roar from the crowd, clapping, as all the anxiety begins to wash away, as you have done an excellent job. There is a smile from Isabella, and you swear that you remember the Emperor clapping as well. As you are finally done with that very stressful presentation, you see Isabella from the top, gestures for you to come upstairs. To meet, maybe. And as you begin to walk up the stairs, you take an elevator up, and as the doors open, you see, believe it or not, Daros. And behind him, some of his more alchemical soldiers, similar to the ones you fought. As he goes, "Well, pardon me, ma'am."
It's nice to meet you.
Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
My soldiers could finally use it in their battles.
That is the hope, anyway. If it is necessary, I could attempt to do a demonstration. I mean, the actual magical this development is still needs some tweaking, but I could show on a very, very minor wound sort of a prototype, in a way, of the sorts of magical processes that I'm talking about.
Well, I should get in touch with your mentor and send a soldier your way. I think the Empire could use your work. I feel you will do wonders for the battle. I must go. Apologies. I never caught your name.
Oh, Omera.
Omera. Pleasure. As you see, he goes down the elevator. Isabella on the other end. You did wonderful.
Oh, did I really? I was so nervous. I think I may have skipped over an explanation of how exactly the anthropathic magic works.
I think you did a wonderful. Please, do not worry yourself with what you can do, but you did what you did. And you have caught the ire of some of the archons. Allow me to introduce you, as you see coming from the side, an individual that isn't necessarily comfortable in sort of like the regalia of fancy clothes that they're having, as it's very much like this is not their outfit and wish to be something more comfortable, like a suit of armor. Johanna, making their way through. Kind of goes, hello, Johanna, at your service. Wonderful presentation, Omera. I am very excited to see where this goes. We need very much of this on the front lines. I know Daros is probably trying to get you, but I wish to maybe persuade you to maybe come to my side.
Of course. I know that we're not exactly supposed to pick and choose who it is exactly that we worship, but I, if it is not too bold to say, have always been a devout follower of your teachings, and I would be more than honored to help you in your cause.
Then it is settled. I shall get my... And before they're able to continue, you hear the sound of something screeching outside. As you see, there is a machine being pushed. Looking outside from where you can see, you are kind of near one of the nearby boxes that look onto the stage, and you can see that while they're trying to get most of the presenters off, you see Titus
Oh my god.
hastily putting on his uniform, getting on the stage, as Isabella goes, I thought I told that boy he was not allowed. Omera, did you know of this?
No, no, I didn't. I thought that Titus would not be showing today.
Titus goes, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. But there is one last minute addition here on the itinerary for today that I wish to share with all of you. So please, if you'd be so kind, take a seat. My name is Titus Laval. Like a great many of you, my family was originally from Squalor's Row, and just like the last presenter, I also hail from the lands of gold and honey. You see there's a bit of a laugh. If it wasn't for Isabella, though, my family, would be still scraping for scraps on the street and would be powerless to stand against the might of the horrible people in charge. So for a moment, please, let us give it up for the Archon. As you see, Isabella is just very like, I'm gonna fucking kill this kid kind of energy as they wave.
Omera, seeing that Isabella is getting a little bit like peeved, is just going to whisper to him, give them a chance. I've seen a little bit of their work, and it is quite good.
Fine, but I need you to go backstage in case anything happens.
Okay.
The last thing I need is this kid to blow up where the Emperor is.
Okay. And Omera is going to start walking down back to backstage.
Fantastic. As you're walking backstage, you begin to hear more of the conversation, of the presentation. The day I was accepted into this institution, I made a vow with my friends that I would too achieve something worthy of this new fate, an opportunity given to me by Isabella and the Empire. And through many years of hard work, I believe I have made such an item. You see, he goes over to a tarp. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you the next combination, the ultimate combination of magic and science. Allow me to introduce, and you see, you kind of get over to the stage where you can see what's going on. Sexium. He pulls it over, and you can see what looks like to be a shimmering crystal-like stone of purple that is in what looks like to be a tube of some sort with sort of more purplish liquid around it. and bits of gold in between. And while you in the past do not recognize this, you can see there is a similarity in the vials that Aiden takes to what is being presented here. For those who do not know, and of course, why would you know? Zexium is a revolutionary new type of material made from modified pieces of magi crystals, which are infused with magic to provide a much more potent and stable version of the material at a structural level. Its power is limited only by the imagination of the user, as it can power any machine of size. And you see he takes the vial and plugs it into what looks like to be a makeshift teleporter. As you see, he is able to teleport to the other side of the stage, closer to you, as he sees you, kind of like, and there's a roar of the crowd here. Unplugs it. That is not all. Weapons. That is the other thing we focus on here, is it not? As you see, he pulls out what looks like to be a mining laser of some sort and places it in. You see a chunk of stone is brought nearby, and you see is able to pierce with it in seconds as another clap goes through. As you can see, there is no limit to what we can do here and what we can accomplish together, as Zexium will truly make this the era of innovation. And an era to remember. As you see, there is a greater clap than you, Omera. As the crowd is overtaken with this technology, even the Emperor seems to clap in astonishment. But as everyone is clapping and he puts the sort of material back into sort of the main capacitor where it's being held, you see Conrad on the other side. You see he's chipping away at the tubes that apparently keep this thing stable. What do you do in this instant?
Conrad. Fucking idiot. So
You're fucking
the tubes are like going like backstage. Is Conrad like backstage away from sight? Is that what's happening?
Yes, he's backstage. He's actively sabotaging this kid's project. You see he's still got bandages around his eye.
How far
He's
is it
taking his
from me?
revenge. I want to say he's stage far, so very much like you're on one side of the stage, you're on the other side, so that kind of distance there.
Okay, so I can't like discreetly do. Okay. Okay. Knowing that what Conrad is doing is destabilizing the sort of power source that Titus is using, and knowing that Conrad is really, really far away from me right now, Omera, I think, is going to rush from backstage onto this stage and is going to sort of like hold out their hands and will say, "Everybody needs to evacuate immediately."
You see Titus go, "You're ruining it, Omera. What are you doing?"
Look! And Omera is going to like point towards Conrad on the other side of the backstage.
You see, as you point to Conrad on the other side, he snips it, and you can hear, "Why don't you take that, merchant?" And you see it begin to unravel. You see what looks like to be a black hole of some sort begin to soothe as this purple energy at a fast speed and pace that you are not able to see. And soon you begin to feel a suction of air towards it as lighter material go towards it, and everybody begins to panic and scream, especially with you two, Titus, and you immediately have to grab onto something as it begins to suck you guys in, trying to anyway.
Omera is going to immediately, kind of similar to what Ray did with Conrad, is going to like touch, like get down onto the ground, touch the stage, and with their hands, and like vines are going to erupt from the ground and try and like ground as many people as possible so that they avoid getting sucked in.
Yeah. You use your magic, and with that, try to breaking out of the floorboards, trying to grab people in. You see that everyone is being escorted away. You see Isabella is going and helping in. You see the Johanna jumps down and immediately is trying to stop any sort of people trying to. They're very much in savior mode. And you had the first time in a long time you see these archons of legend in action, protecting people, being the gods that people pray to as they're saving anyone they can. But the Emperor stands still. Even though they are in danger, they still watch. In this moment, you see Conrad is slipping at the moment, and you see he is about to go into this instance. As you see Titus go to you, we need to shut it off at the power source.
Do I know where that is?
You can see that you're like, okay, power source. You're kind of playing like that sort of where's the wire, follow it through.
Yeah.
And you can see it's kind of backstage. So you can know that if you just throw something or if you manage to hit it with something, you will be able to sort of just stop this machine and power it down.
Okay. Seeing that, following. Omera, and seeing also that Conrad is like slipping towards this black hole that has formed, Omera nods frantically at Titus and is going to like send out a vine from one of the very like sparse tattoos on their arm, and that vine is going to like wrap around Conrad and then keep going, like the momentum continues, and is going to push Conrad into the power source.
Fantastic. Will the power for me if you be so kind?
Okay.
I'll give you +3 for this, because you click all the boxes just as before. So please roll that for me.
God damn it, I got a 13 again!
Get 13, yeah, boy! With that, you throw, and that isn't throwing it, but you manage to hit him hard enough into it. But as it do, you are not focusing on yourself, and you see the breaks as you fall closer and closer into the black hole. And for a moment, as you shut it off, but also are like at the precipice of it, an explosion kind of happens, hits you in the back, but time slows down, and you find yourself in the Graveland. A booming voice speaks in the back of your mind. What do we have here?
Is this a...
Mortal. You are hearing this past tense. This is something you yourself have forgotten.
I was gonna ask, is this a voice I recognize?
You have no recollection of this memory. But it did happen, which is strange. You would remember some weird shit like this.
We're just gonna let the memory wash over them and play out. Can I remember?
Continue.
I was just gonna ask if I could remember like anything else that the voice said to me at this point.
You do. You see that it circles around you. It is this massive cloud with red eyes staticking. Interesting. You will do many wonders. You do not see it, but they are your enemies. As you see, they produce all your friends, family. And in the center, sitting on their throne, Anir, though again, you only see the golden mask.
Am I able to speak in this memory?
You are.
Omera, following the red eyes in the clouds, is going to ask, who are you?
I've been called many things, none of which are important. But you as you feel a hand caress your cheek, will be something beautiful. God of death, you will do my wonders. In my name, you will claim a throne of blood and sorrow. You'll understand what it means to be a death.
But not without them.
For you to understand this, they must all perish. As you see, they all begin to fade. Go now, for you have been marked. When the time comes, you'll be saved. Before you feel the memory being wiped, as if someone implants a failsafe within you and cast you out as you come out of it, getting onto the ground, as if nothing happened and you're just kind of remembering what was in your head.
When I come back, am I coming back in the Unification Day or in the battlefield?
Unification Day.
Okay.
Titus going, oh, I'm so fucking sorry. Oh my god.
Who was that?
What?
Who was that? Did you hear that?
That was me screaming. I'm sorry.
No, did you not? Did you not hear the?
I think we need to get you to the infirmary, and picks you up. You see Azul comes into. Oh my god, Amir, are you alright?
Yeah, no, I think so. Is everyone else okay?
I think so. You notice Conrad is smoking. As you see, he has been seriously hurt by third-degree burns here.
Oh, shit. We need to get Conrad to the healers immediately.
You see Isabella comes out of a Tesla coil. I will deal with Conrad. You get the medical treatment, and I want all three of you in my office. You see they grab Conrad in like a very fast flash instant, grab him, go into the teleporter, and go through. The purposes of this time, fast forwards. As you find yourself in Isabella's office, it is quiet in here, as there is a sense of dread of what is about to happen to Titus. And for a moment, it stays like that until you hear them coming down from their high tower. Isabella forms. You see Titus begins to get up. You will sit. The two of you, they point to you and Israel, will be quiet for this instance, as I will tell you my ruling. Titus Laval, I have had the utmost respect for you. Brought you in, provided you a home, food, and money to grow your mind. I do not ask for much, but I have a rule. The laws of my entropy to be followed very closely. But today you have shown not only your disregard and respect for my rules, but also that you do not care about the well-being of others, but rather your own rise. You see Titus' head kind of puppy very much going down. It is in this instance that since you do not respect my laws, you do not respect the walls of this city. You are to pack your belongings immediately, and you will be escorted out of the city forthwith. When I see the sun come up tomorrow, and I find you here, I will treat you as I treat my enemies. As you see lightning spark up, Titus tries to say something, but he chokes on his words. And with their head low, looking at you, hoping you would say something, not, proceeds to walk out. You see Azul walks with him as well, leaving you and them in the room. I am sorry that you had to see that, Omera. Are you all right? Are you doing well?
I'm okay. Was that really necessary?
Dear summer child, that is utmost necessary. I have known men like him in my life. They do not care about progress or the well-being of others. They care about their rise. And they only do that with blood. We are just lucky enough that we were able to stop him this time.
I understand that, but could it not be better to teach away from these instincts? I mean, what good does casting him out do? He won't learn otherwise.
That is the point. To teach him more will be a danger to the Empire. He will be cast down to his status where he belongs.
Only to grow resentful.
But dumb.
I'm not so sure about that. I respectfully, though the rest of the Empire may not have the resources that Lys does, everyone else is not. Without intelligence, without creativity, I worry that you may be creating an enemy of the Empire in this moment, Isabella.
You see, they ponder. I cannot. They have defied my laws, and it is the one thing I hold myself to, Omera. It is the one thing that makes me immortal. These laws, they keep me centered. If I was disregarded for one student, then I too would fall to the same depravity of his mind. I would create things that will harm people in mass droves and not care about the well-being of my students. If I break my law for this one student, I will no longer be an Archon, but rather a demon. You must understand that, child. In this world, people do things and they must be punished to the cruelest extent, lest we risk infection. I thought if anyone would understand that, it would be you.
I suppose I'm still learning, but you are the Archon after all, and you know entropy better than anyone else, so if you are certain that it would be too much chaos to allow someone like Titus to continue, then I will not question your decision any longer.
Good. I am happy. Please, take the day off. You deserve it. An excellent presentation. I will soon set a meeting with Trihana so you can further hash out the ideas of your project into application. You made me proud today.
Thank you. And Omera, it's very obvious that Omera doesn't quite mean, like, isn't 100% genuine about that thank you. There is still Isabella is trying to teach Omera a lesson of some kind, but it's one that's not sitting right with Omera. This idea that we must punish to the furthest extent for any transgressions, lest something, become worse and spread. It doesn't sit right with Omera, and they're trying to listen to Isabella because Isabella's an Archon after all and is Omera's mentor, and of course Isabella knows better than them. And so Omera is trying to understand and trying to be on side about this, but there's something that's not quite like hitting right for him. And so they just kind of give this half-hearted thank you and walk out to follow wherever Azul and Titus may have gone.
You do not find Azul, but you do see Titus almost like in the atrium. It is late at night and it's just the two of you.
Titus, hey, are you okay?
No, now you want to speak.
What do you mean?
Way to have my back there, friend.
What do you mean? I tried to talk to Isabella after you left, but she seems pretty adamant about the rules of the academy.
The keyword after. Usually when you speak on somebody's behalf, you do it during the confrontation, not after.
I just thought that maybe I could get Isabella to reverse their decision.
Well, clearly it didn't work, Omera. Not everybody's perfect as you.
I'm
Not
not.
everybody is able to do things right or be the golden child.
I'm certainly not. Titus, this has nothing to do with me.
My machine is destroyed. I worked so hard on it, and I could have stabilized it. I could have. I wanted you to turn it off, not destroy it.
I'm sorry. I didn't. I panicked. Everybody was in danger, and I did the first thing that I could think of. Maybe you could rebuild it and try again.
With what? With what? I have no money. I have no prospects. I am an outcast again. I'm going back home to that shitty fucking river town. Omera, I You see, he is in full panic mode and goes, I have nothing left. I can't start from zero. I'm in the fucking ground.
Well, you don't have nothing. I mean, Titus, you are a dreamer, you said. Remember?
Yes, but Omera, a dreamer needs money. They need respect. I have vision, but I don't have any resources anymore to do that. You told me that this place would, and it did, and because of some asshat, I have lost everything, and my friend who I thought would support me didn't. And now I have nothing.
I did what I could,
Nothing.
Titus. There's only so much that a person can do in front of an Archon. You have to understand who we're speaking to.
Who are we speaking to? We're just speaking to glorified jumpstarts who conquered this place before anybody could do anything, as you see screaming out loud this heresy.
Titus, these are the gods of our world. They are benevolent and they care for us deeply.
It's a load of shit. And one day, I hope you wipe it from your eyes.
I understand that you're upset, but you do not need to spit in the face of those who have taken care of us. And I don't just mean us as in those in the academy, I mean us as in everyone in the Empire. We all owe it to the Archons that we live in the peaceful state that we do. I mean, Do you not remember?
Mary,
Do you not remember all of the
Peaceful?
wars that have come before?
Mary, you really need to read a book or newspaper sometime. You see this peace out there? As he points out to the land beyond. There is no peace, Omera. It is violent. You have spent so much time in those fields of grain, in these halls of safety, that you don't know what the world is really like. It is violent. And I was prepared to give it peace, but no, because of others with lack of vision. And you see, he becomes a bit mad, not in the sense of angry, but of eccentric nature, as he talks to himself. But he controls himself and goes, I'm just sad that you didn't do more. And I hope you dwell on that. As you see, he picks up his bags and begins to walk away.
Titus. Moira calls after them.
Enjoy your house of stone and lies. I won't be a part of it. As they proceed to walk out.
And Omera is stunned, I think, by this entire display. I mean, the heresy, the anger, the everything. Omera was not expecting any of it. This was not how Ray thought this conversation was going to go. And is just surprised and stunned. Too much to really do or say anything else in this moment, and Omera just watches as Titus leaves.
As you do, you feel that pain in the chest where the stone is embedded in your skin. As you feel, you get on your knees. You feel the dream begin to subside, and you wake up. It is late at night, and there are bandages all around your body. But in the corner sleeping, you see Aiden by your side. And as you awake, you see Tava whispering, echoing, and fading away. Interesting. Before they leave from this instance.
And Omera stirs awake, coming back into their body in the present, out of this memory, and will, blurry-eyed at first, I'll look over to where Aiden is sleeping, and Omera is going to try, I don't know if I can yet, but I'm going to try to reach out the closest hand to Aiden and stretch it over to touch him.
As you are sort of touching, you're able to wake him up, and he what? Oh, thank God. You all right?
Omera just silently nods, slowly.
You got lucky. I was surprised you were able to do that surgery by yourself.
By myself?
Well, yeah, you walked over here and then you kind of fell unconscious, and even though we thought you were out for the count, you managed to kind of wake up, and we kind of helped guide you to pull out the shards, don't you remember?
No.
Huh. Maybe you were just in between the pain, just forgot, I guess. People can forget.
And Omera nods and just gestures with that arm that is touching Aiden for him to, gently, grabs him and, tugs for him to come closer.
They get closer.
And Omera, being closer, is just going to, cuddle up to Aiden and kind of, sigh into his body and like release all of this tension that is not tension necessarily from the pain of the wound or from even the battlefield, but just the tension from those memories, from having remembered and uncovered a new one that Ray had pushed down, forgotten until now. And all of that, I think, just Ray lets it out of their body and just kind of like limps into Eden. How is everyone?
Good. All the big heads survived. Josiah, me, Azul. Some people died. Some Ali, some rebels. But we won. And surprisingly, Daros' army has joined ours, so I'm guessing we have you to thank for that.
Omera nods into Aiden's chest. The rest of the people of Mali have been taken.
I heard, and I think I got a plan. I need to know first, are you okay?
And I think there's a few moments before Omera truly answers that question. And what comes out of their mouth is a very small no. Titus is the reason that all of this is happening.
What's a Titus?
They were my friend.
You don't mean the Grand Vizier?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
I don't know what to do.
It's quite simple, to be honest, where I'm standing from.
And Omera looks up at Aiden, into his face. What's that?
What do you do with people that harm other people? Get rid of them.
It's the Grand Vizier we're talking about, Aiden.
He's not a god. He can still bleed.
And Omera sighs and winces a little bit at the residual pain that is now starting to like become more apparent to Omera as they come into their body again. And they just say, like, they kind of nuzzle into Aiden's chest and just say, maybe that could be a tomorrow problem.
Yeah. But if the rest of the citizens are in the heart, right? We need the codes in order to get past enemy lines. And there's only one place where those codes could be.
Where's that?
From what you've told me, home. Liss. The Academy. It's a hub of information, and Isabella oversees those complex equations that they use to transmit with one another.
I haven't been back there since I left the academy.
Might be the only way to rescue everybody safely. You could try to go through checkpoints, but at some point we'll get caught without those codes. I know you're healing and you need time, but I fear that the more we wait, the more you may lose your people.
You're right. Maybe having Azul will help us. Azul also went to the academy, you know.
And I do know some people that would love the opportunity to make Isabella's life hell.
She's not that bad.
He's an Archon, they're all bad.
Not this one.
You're not. You see, they kind of look back at you. You still don't believe in them, do you? After all the shit they put you through?
Not as a collective or as a system, no. But if we're going to treat the Archons like people, then we have to see them for their individual merits and actions, right?
But they're not people, Omera. You've seen it, they're monsters. Whether they may hide it depends on the Archon. But at the end of the day, they're not mortals. They're people with power that have lost their minds to time.
Would you feel that way about me?
You're not an Archon.
And Omera kind of like takes Aiden's hand in theirs and puts it up to their own chest where that crystal is. Maybe not, but it's close.
You would never. Why do you want to become them? For what? What should you even be an Archon of? They kind of got the whole category filled out. You want to be the god of getting the shit kicked out of you?
And Omera, like, very gently and weakly, because they don't have strength, like, nudges Aiden. There's one domain that they haven't filled.
Oh, what's that?
You ever wondered why we don't have an Archon of Death?
Because they don't like death. To have a Archon of death means they can die too. They don't want that out and about.
Well, they do call me the godkiller.
They also call you the witch.
Who's to say I can't be both?
I just worry, don't lose yourself to that power. I lost myself to it and I cost the lives of people I care about. I don't want to lose you to that too as they put their finger on your chin.
And Omera nods. I know. And I will do everything that I can to make sure that that's true, but maybe we can't always control the way that we're perceived. The way that people see us. Maybe all we can do is use that for good. You said at one point to me that people only fear ghosts. Well, you're wrong. Because you said it yourself. People also fear death. So much so that even the Archons fear death.
Ever the wise one, are we?
And in pain, so tomorrow problem. Yeah.
I'll get you more medicine. Be back. As he gets up, lets you rest. And as he walks away, leaving you alone, what is the last thought that goes through a mirror mind before we end this episode?
Oh god, it hurts. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, the pain! Fuck! Oh, my God.
No, I'm kidding.
My legs!
No. Omera's mind goes to that memory that they had forgotten of this voice that was speaking to them, these red eyes in the clouds, and the insistence that everyone else has to perish in order for whatever to flourish. They didn't quite say. And there is a little bit of a dread in Omera's heart as they think about that, because there are so many people here that they love, that they would not sacrifice for whatever, for taking the throne. Omera doesn't even want the throne. And I think it's replaying that memory over and over again in their head, trying to identify the voice, but of course, Ray can't place it. Ray's never heard it in any other instance, in any other memory. But they do that in their head until Aiden returns.
And as that memory goes away, a question deep in your mind beckons. Will you have to kill Titus?
Eee.
And that is where we shall end it for this episode. Yay! With that in mind, thank you everyone for joining us for another thrilling episode of Forsaken. With that in mind, we're going to go in reverse order here with our godkiller. Please give them sweet, sweet plugs so that the audience knows where they can find you.
Hello everyone, my name is Humna. I use any and all pronouns, and I am a TTRPG performer and producer. I'm so sorry about my mic dying partway through, so if my mic quality sucks right now, I'm very sorry about that. Today I have been Omera, who uses they, Ray pronouns are godkiller. And if you want to see me in more stuff, then actually this is the only show that I'm actively streaming right now, so this is the place to be if you'd like to see me. However, you can go and catch up on the 10 episodes of Ties That Bind that are out on all podcasting platforms. If you like post-apocalyptic stories, if you like stories about community, about power, about systemic violence, about romance and tragedy, then Ties That Bind is a show for you. And yeah, it's a very fun one. I really do think you should go listen to it. But with that, I'm going to pass things over to Chris.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. I have been your heartbreaking god for these preceding evenings. You can find me on the Twitter while it's still alive at VO_Cologne. That's COLON. In terms of where you can find me here on this bad boy every Thursday at 8 p.m. for some more episodes as we get into our end of our second act and going into our third. But also, you can catch me over on Badass RPG as I am GMing a storyteller for their all-Latin game of Werewolf the Apocalypse known as Embers of Rage, following a group of bikers. Next week is going to be awesome as they're going to be going to Mexico and doing some stuff there. With that in mind, everyone, thank you for joining us for another wonderful episode, and we can't wait to see you next week. Till then, everyone, have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.